What's going on, everyone? So reports keep coming out that Rui Hachimura is likely the key for the Los Angeles Lakers to land a center in the trade market this upcoming offseason, right? Now, there are a couple options in free agency, but like a true starting center, yeah, it's kind of limited as far as the open market, right? More likely than not, if the Lakers are to get a clear-cut starting center, particularly somebody long-term, then they're going to have to pull off some type of trade, whether it's for Nick Claxton or Mark Williams or Walker Kessler just became an option again. So, any type of clear-cut starter, particularly as like a long-term answer at center, you're probably going to have to pull off some type of trade on. Now, could you, kind of fill in the blanks on a couple free agents, go with like a Brook Lopez and a Clint Capella or something like that. Sure. Right. Maybe those guys, if they know that they're going to have a big role and get to play a big role, maybe they would, take the money, especially Brook Lopez at his age. How much money is he going to get? Where I think Clint Capella might get a little more, right? Like it just depends on what the open market is and how many teams are looking for another center and which guy is going to start compared to come off the bench, right? Like somebody like a Clint Capella, for example, he might look at it and go, well, I could go to the Lakers and start, but I'd only be able to get, a vet minimum or something like that. But I could get $6 million with this team, but I'm going to be in a backup role only playing 15 minutes. So he might look at it as like, I'd rather play than, ride the bench most of the time or get DMPs or whatever, right? So it just depends on what the Lakers are offering as far as role and production, as well as like what can they pay and pony up and what is the market financially for those guys, right? If a team's offering Clint Capella, $12 million to come off the bench, then, a vet minimum isn't going to cut it, but if they're offering $8 million and the Lakers are like, hey, we'll give you our taxpayer mid-level, right? So you'd only lose like $2 million, but you start, then again, maybe he goes and makes a move. So that's the thing. Unless the Lakers are able to get, though, a Mark Williams or, a Walker Kessler or, a Jalen Duren, right? One of these cheaper, younger centers, right? In a perfect world, I'd love to get either of those guys, any of those guys, right? But you also have to give up the assets. They're going to be harder to trade. Are those teams really trying to trade him? Right? Obviously, we know Mark Williams would, but would the Hornets trade him now, given the situation that happened at the trade deadline? Walker Kessler, he's been on the market for like 2 years now, and they haven't been able to find a deal. So again, it's like, how serious are they to move him without like some blowaway offer, right? So you look at a guy like a Nick Claxton, for example. Yes, he makes a ton of sense for the Lakers, right? Or even like a, Daniel Gafford or something like that, right? Makes a ton of sense for guys. But it's like, okay, well, like a Daniel Gafford situation, right? Do a team like Dallas, do they want a Gabe Vincent and a Shake Milton to get that trade done, right? Or maybe, yeah, sure, they might want a Dalton Connect, but are they taking a Gabe Vincent and Dalton Connect to get that trade done? I don't know, maybe, according to reports, the Lakers would have to overpay for a Daniel Gafford. Okay, well then, if you look to like a Nick Claxton, well, you would have to trade Rui Hachimura, right? Because you need his $18 million salary to get close. So you're looking at like a Rui Hachimura plus like a Gabe Vincent to now go get a Nick Claxton type, right? So Lakers are kind of in the spot. So it does make sense that any real starting level center that the Lakers trade for is probably going to be, well, not a veteran, but, have some seasoning on them. You think of a Daniel Gafford, you think of a Nick Claxton, two guys that have multiple years in this league, right? But you're probably going to have to give up a guy like a Rui Hachimura because he's an actual player that not only could these teams use, but is an expiring contract. So if it doesn't work out, they're not stuck and their hands are tied, but a guy that can slot in and actually play a role. But Rui Hachimura is really good for the Lakers, right? Now, I'm not against trading Rui. I would love to be able to keep Rui if we could. But my biggest problem with Rui Hachimura is he is a 4 that has to play the 3, right? Like if LeBron was to retire this year, which he's not, he's going to stick around for a couple more seasons, which is great, right? I am really excited to see LeBron James and Luka Doncic full training camp, full off season, right? I'm really excited for that. But if, let's say, LeBron was going to retire, then I would be more like, hey, you should keep Rui Hachimura because now you can slide him at the 4, right? And then now you have your solution at the 4, and then now he's playing his natural position, go get a center, kind of, maybe have a gap year or something like that, right? You could look at that route. But that's not going to happen. So it's like, okay, if you're going to keep Rui, he has to play the 3 still. And it's like, you kind of have a lot of the same problems. Yes, he's been excellent shooting the basketball, and he was better defensively towards the back end of the season, but still not the ideal defensive piece you want at the 3 spot. So it's just, again, it's kind of like you look at it and it's like, okay, well, what's the best course of action in that regard for the Lakers? It's like, okay, well, if you can turn him into needs, such as the center position or a 3-and-D wing or whatnot, then you should. And I also think the Lakers would probably be able to get the perimeter help, right? My thing though too is I don't think the Lakers need this super skilled center, right? I'd love to get it. If you can get a Mark Williams, great. But I don't think that I'm not against them just even if they did do a gap year center, right? Like I said, go get a Clint Capella and like a Jericho Sims or something like that, right? I know that's the example I use the most, but it's just because it's realistic, it's cheap, right? Like it's about what's available and realistic, right? And those 2 guys I do think are very realistic. And now you kind of have your problem solved. And now you could use Rui Hachimura and various other things to go get other pieces. Go get that 3-and-D weight, right? Maybe now instead of going and targeting a Nick Claxton, maybe you're targeting a Cam Johnson, right? Or, maybe you can go and work out a sign and trade and, get a Nickeil Alexander-Walker and a Naz Reid or something, right? Because, Minnesota's like, hey, we don't want to lose these guys for nothing. So we'd rather take a Rui and something else, right? Whatever, right? Like, so my point is that the Lakers are probably going to have to part with Rui at some point. Right? Maybe they're able to pull off a move. Again, maybe like they are able to trade for a Daniel Gafford. And it is like a Gabe Vincent because it's like, hey, we just need a guard to kind of get us through until Kyrie Irving comes back. Take Gabe Vincent, give us Dalton Connect, boom, here you go, Daniel Gafford. Maybe that's as simple as that, right? But it also could be, you got to do that plus a first plus all that, which is it's just too much, right? And then, in a perfect world, could the Lakers go get a Walker Kessler? Like maybe they are able to do that. Maybe they're all able to trade Dalton Connect and, basically give the package that they were for Mark Williams, but go get a Walker Kessler. Or maybe Mark Williams becomes an option again, right? So I don't think it's necessarily a lock that the Lakers are going to have to trade Rui Hachimura for a center. But I do think the Lakers are going to have to trade Rui Hachimura at some point, whether it's this offseason or it's closer to the trade deadline, right? I just think, one, you don't want to lose Rui just to lose Rui, right? Unless you really are just kind of using this year as like a gap year, and then you're just letting all the expiring contracts fall off. If that's the case, then sure. But outside of that, it's like, So, I don't know. I think Rui is probably going to be traded at some point. That's my thoughts, but anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? Either way, love to hear it. Let me know. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.